They've won Tonys and Oscars and Emmys and Grammys. There's no red carpet because they're home in their jammies. From Melrose Place to Broadway to Janeway and her crew. Let Seth and James bring all the stars to you.
Anywho.
They're entertaining everyone, so who's gonna grouse? Just sit right back and you'll hear some tales on Stars in the House.
I'll get back to it. Haven't practiced. Hi, everyone. Look at the shirt I'm wearing. In honor of, it is the 50th anniversary of Godspell this month, and we're celebrating tonight on Stars in Ye Old House. You may say to yourself, what is Stars in the House? Stars in the House is the show I normally host with my husband, James. He's in Texas right now. He's trying to log on. We'll see if he has the Wi-Fi. We began when everything shut the hell down last March, and we've been going ever since, and we raise money for the Actors Fund. You may also say, why do rich Broadway actors need any money? Well, it's not for rich Broadway actors. It's for anybody in the arts. So yes, you may be an actor, but you can also get help from the Actors Fund if you're a singer or a dancer, or anybody backstage, like a stage manager, someone who applies clown makeup. Anybody? Musicians, publicists, anybody front of house managers, ushers, box office personnel, and then it's also TV and film. So best boy, gaffers, plus anyone who works anywhere in the country. It's not just like New York and California. It's anywhere. We met these wedding singers in Texas. If you make your money in the arts, you can undoubtedly get help from the Actors Fund. So if you need help with things like, someone just compliments my piano playing. Thank you so much. If you need help with things like paying ye old rent, or paying your medical bills, or buying groceries, or figuring the hell out how health insurance works, they will navigate health insurance for you. Go to theactorsfund.org. However, if you can actually help tonight, then why don't you make a donation? You go to starsinthehouse.com, make a donation. You can also text, thank you, David, Fund 2020 to 56512. You're going to get a receipt. Forward your receipt to donations@starsinthehouse.com, and then I'll send it to one of these clowns, literally one of these clowns tonight to read out loud. We also have a matching donation. We have up to $3,000. So let's get beyond that. From a lifelong Broadway fan and longtime Actors Fund supporter, Becca Rothschild. So she's not one of those Rothschilds. She's just a person with that last name. I am one of those Rudetskys, though. But anyway, the point is, she's matching donations. So if you're thinking of donating, tonight's a great night to do it, because we are currently at, and James would actually know. Oh, James, I can see you. Hi, honey. Should I bring you on? Do you know the amount that we've raised? Okay, James is literally in his car. He's in Texas. 1, 2, 3. Hi, James.
Hi.
Hi, honey.
We are up to $927,000.
That is how much we've raised. We're just we are getting so close to $1 million. And when we hit $1 million, we're going to have a big blowout celebration. And by the way, we're going to go past that before Broadway opens.
Seth, look again. We literally had to pull over. This has been it's been nothing and then a downpour, nothing, a downpour. Do you see that? It was we were on the toll road. Anyone from Texas or from the South knows, one toll road after another.
I don't know what that even means. Go on.
Doesn't matter. Not necessary. You don't need to know what it means.
Cool.
But it was so much rain. I'm if I even talk to Seth, even if I'm not looking and Julie's holding the phone, Seth will just it will not be fun after the show's over that I even attempted to do it. So I pulled over.
Hey, are you saying I'm like a nagging wife?
No, I'm saying you're very concerned. I know. I'm saying you're a very concerned husband. And actually, the way the weather is, you would have been right, because it was bad. Now it's totally fine, and I'm sure it'll be bad again in 5 minutes. But I'm gonna this is Julie and I leave early tomorrow, so we switched hotels. So because our flight is at 7:15, because we're checking in bags, I think we have to probably be there at 5:30. So we're we're gonna stay at the hotel at the airport.
Don't call me. Don't call me.
No, don't worry, I won't be calling you. But I wanted to share some exciting news, and I got permission. So as our regular viewers at least know, Julie and I are here because Julie was connecting and reconnecting with her bio father's family. And two of those very important people are in the car with me and Julie. And they said it was okay to put them on. They're wearing their masks because today was a very, very special, important day in their life. And this is Lauren and Elise. And well, Julie's right here. So there's Julie.
Hey
Hi,
guys.
Who, of course, we've been double vaccinated for quite a while.
We're good.
But here in Texas, Julie's sisters.
Hello.
Oh my
So-
gosh! Hi.
Got,
Woo!
Okay,
Yay!
the vaccination cards are amazing, but Julie, please explain why Morticia had the nails, the terrifying nails.
Oh,
Show your
show the nails, Lauren. Show the nails.
We got like right here.
Oh my God!
Look,
Julie-
and it has on her ring finger. There's a middle finger.
Let's not. We don't need to go there. This is a quote unquote family show. We
Inappropriate.
don't need to be going there. But Julie, show off your nails.
I
Your
got
nails are a little
like
bit.
pink and glittery.
Yes. So there you go.
Girls, stay out. Well, bravo on the
That's-
first vaccination. When is your second vaccination? No skipping the second vaccination.
3 weeks.
3 weeks from today, they got the Pfizer vaccine today.
Oh, that's what we got. Hey, keep it in the family.
That's right. That's right. Keep it in the family. We all get the Pfizer, and they're all set. And it's been a really, what's been amazing, I will say yet again. And I know I talked to you about this, Seth, earlier, but one of the surprising things about coming down here is that Julie and I really thought that no one would be wearing masks, or because look, the reality is with the vaccine rate. The vaccine rate is much higher in certain states, including New York. I think the last time I looked, it was 41% fully vaccinated in New York State. And I think in Texas, it's 30%. But because I've been everywhere I go, I didn't ask the server. We just had dinner, but I've been asking people, about are you vaccinated or what's the deal with vaccinations here? And I always say, because you have to know this, if you're from Texas, you have to say, I'm born and raised in Texas, because basically Texans don't like outsiders. So it's like, I always know that. And then once I say that, I know that they'll kind of open up to me. And the woman who was a little bit older, and I'm sure could have gotten the vaccine in the very beginning, just got her first vaccine. And I think that maybe, I don't know this scientifically, but I wonder if in certain places like New York that were hit really hard early on, that maybe that's one of the reasons why, I feel like we at least as a family in our circle, everyone who worked on Broadway knew multiple people who died or got COVID and had serious complications. And even, of course, as we know, in the last several months, because we had 2 of our staff members get COVID in January, February, because they were eating out right before they got their vaccine or fully vaccinated. So my point is, I'm being hopeful after this trip that maybe the slowness in getting vaccinated is because certain people didn't feel an urgency, but there definitely seems to be people doing it, just not as fast as I would want, or you would want, or Julie would want, or Dr. LaPook would want, or Dr. Fauci. But I think it is happening. And I think the key really, because the last thing I'll say, because I know you've got an amazing show with Godspell. The last thing I'll say is that the woman who I was talking to behind the counter has an 89-year-old mother who's wheelchair bound and lives in a rural area. And she was saying, I'm going to go see my mom tomorrow, but I really want her to get the vaccine, but she doesn't really leave her house. She's not in great health. And she said, but the neighbor across the way, he's not in good health either, but he has a nurse who comes and sees him a couple of times a week. And she actually is the one who ended up giving him the vaccine. So she said, and I said, well, that's great. I said, if your mother doesn't want to leave the house, then, and my point is, and I said, you should ask your neighbor how they got that, and if that nurse can give, the vaccine to your mom. And so she said she's going to look into that. My point being, continuing to try to get people who aren't just like, oh, I don't want to get the vaccine, but need that extra help in getting it because of transportation or because they're scared, is, I think, really vitally important. And I hope that that continues, and all of us basically, ask our neighbors or ask our friends and family if they need help, and ask the people in our circle the same way that we did in the fall and in the summer, of like when we said on Stars in the House every night, with Poll Hero Project, of like, are you registered? If you're not registered, or if you are, ask 10 friends and family, do you need help getting to the polls? Do you need help registering to vote? And I kind of feel like that's what needs to happen with the vaccination. So that's my spiel before we get back on the rainy road.
All right, young ladies, I hope you're going to tell your classmates to get vaccinated.
Of course. Yeah.
Spread the word. All
Yes.
right. Nice meeting the sisters. All right. Peace out, Jimmy. Have a good trip. Drive safe.
All right, we will. All right, love you. Have a great show.
Love you, Dad.
And you're gonna talk about Jose Lana, right?
No.
I don't know. So again, Jose Lana is guest host. Well, tomorrow night I'll promote your concert series.
Tomorrow afternoon.
I'm sorry, tomorrow afternoon. That's right, but at 3:00, 8:00 Eastern. If you wanna sit there, thank you, David. With
Chuck Cooper and Lily Cooper.
And I love it. You have another parent-child duo two times in a row here, 2 Sundays in a row. And then Tuesday, Jose Lana is going to be guest hosting. And it seems like he basically has, I don't know if it's on our website yet, but I think he basically has the entire cast of one of our favorite off-Broadway musicals, Here Lies Love. And so that's going to be a lot of fun. And I know that I saw one of the emails with Jose today with David. It's like he's going to get a lot of fun clips. It's going to be a great show. And on Wednesday, I know when you and me and Julie were in Los Angeles last week, we had, for a couple of days, we had it on the schedule that we were going to do a game night. And then we were like, peace out. We're going to be too tired. However, Julie and I get back to New York tomorrow. And I'm actually going to meet you at JFK, and you and I are going to LA for some work, and we're going to be in LA on Wednesday, and we're going to do game night from Jack Plotnick's apartment. We don't know who the guests are going to be, but that will definitely happen. Yeah. And it'll be the first time that you and me and Jack are all together in one room on Stars in the House. Like, it'll be fun.
Here Lies Love Tuesday.
Thank you,
David.
Go. All right,
Thank
there you have
David.
it.
All right.
All right. Have fun. Have a great show. And I know it's going to be fantastic. I'll be listening in the car, but I won't be watching.
Thank you. Drive carefully. All right. Bye, Jimmy. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Love you, Dad.
Bye. Yes. In-person game night for all the fans out there. LA game night. Yes. No, Carol. You've called me out as being too competitive too many times during game night. You're not. No, we're not in the same room. I've seen too many comments about my competitiveness. It's not happening. All right, here we go, guys. We are doing the 50th anniversary of Godspell. Let me welcome some of the. We have the writer, composer, lyricist, and then original cast members plus original cast members from the original run. So it's basically everyone that's ever done Godspell is on the show. So if you please, first of all, welcome. He's done so many productions, and wow, he's wearing a white jacket. Mr. Bob Garrett, you got it going on. Hi, Bob.
How are you?
Looking sassy. Are you in LA? You look very LA right now.
I'm in LA. Yeah.
I knew it. Okay, I literally had no idea.
I'm a New Yorker, but now I'm a native here.
It's all good. Another Jesus, I think, from the original run, Mr. Don Scardino.
Hey, Seth. Hey, Bobby.
Hi, Johnny.
How are you?
Better now because I get to see you guys.
Oh, and you. Look
Adorable.
at this. Look at Seth has a Superman shirt on. Ta-da. Excellent.
I am Jesus. Then I also have the man who actually helped put the whole thing together. He did all the outreach, Mr. Mark Plana. Hi, Mark.
Hey, how are you? How are you, Seth? Hey, Bobby. Hey, Don.
Hey, Big.
But before we go any further, let me tell you that my main claim to fame tonight is that I am David Katz's voice teacher.
Everybody loves David.
Everybody loves David. We couldn't be here without him.
But let me ask, why are we looking at you through the keyhole in your apartment?
Even David, brilliant David, could not get rid of that stupid frickin' thing.
It
only happens on StreamYard. It doesn't happen on Zoom. Doesn't happen on, God forbid, Skype. It only happens on StreamYard.
It looks like we're peeping at you.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to just be in a bra. Okay, we'll see what happens by the end of the show. Exactly. Okay, and then another original cast member and a film member as well. Please welcome Joanne. Hey, aka JJ.
Hi guys. Oh, all you delicious men. Hello. Hi, Seth. Hey,
Hi.
Don.
Hey, Joanne.
Hey.
And let's get another original cast member as well as another writer, Ms. Peggy Gordon.
There she is.
Hey,
Mama.
Oh, my people. Okay, we're in New York where it's 150,000 degrees. My air conditioner is on. I can turn it off if we can't.
I don't even hear it.
Don't even hear it.
But boy, is it hot. And the man who made piano playing popular in the 70s when I was growing up, thank you very much, the composer himself and lyricist Stephen Schwartz.
Hey, Seth. Hey, gang. Oh, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Oh my God.
Very exciting. So before I forget, I just want to tell people, so from the originals, so Joanne, you were the original Bless the Lord, right? Or am I crazy?
That's right. That's
Original Bless the Lord. And Peggy, you wrote and sang By My Side.
Yeah.
Bob.
Thanks to this guy over there. Thanks to that guy.
And I was going to say, and Bob, you did, I've seen you do all different, like you've done different roles on the show, right, Bob?
I did 7 of the 10. Yeah, long time ago.
All at once.
Crazy.
You did.
We'll talk about that. Don, you were a Jesus, right?
I was a Jesus. I did over 1,000 crucifixions. Yeah, and I opened the Broadway company as well. Yeah.
And Don also modestly is refraining from saying, but he directed a brilliant production of one of the revivals. In what, 1988, Don? Was that what it was?
86? No,
Somewhere.
You're right.
Late
right.
80s. Yeah,
right.
great production.
Don, was that the one with Trini Alvarado?
On your show? No, this is
Yes.
but she was in that.
Singing
She was
By
in
My
it.
Side. Yeah.
That's right.
I love her.
She's
I
in
always
it.
plug her, Donnie.
Oh God, she's so good. And Mark, you were a All Good Gifts, right?
Yeah, I replaced the original person for whom that song was written, Lamar Alfred, and I was part of the second company. Mostly new people, but Joanne stayed back in New York when the original people went out to California to open that company, and Sonia Manzano also stayed because she was on Sesame Street at the time. So yeah, so I was the second person to get to sing that phenomenal song that Stephen wrote for Lamar.
And that you certainly took down the octave during matinees, I hope.
Are you kidding? Absolutely not.
Never.
Okay, I'd be marking. All right, so Stephen Schwartz, let's go to you. I know when you were in Carnegie Mellon, you started writing Pippin, and it was Pippin. Were you writing Godspell at the same time? Because wasn't it before Pippin?
Godspell happened in New York before Pippin, but I was gone from Carnegie Mellon by the time Godspell started there. Peggy was among the people there who started it. But I didn't catch up to Godspell until they were at the Cafe La Mama in New York in 1971.
Oh, such a hit place. So Peggy, you were at Carnegie Mellon and you were like, I'd love to write a worldwide hit. Like, how did it happen?
No. Basically, I took my junior year, took it because they wouldn't give it to me. And I got into the company at ACT. And then I was
hold on. What does that mean they wouldn't give it to you? Were you on the list where they cut you from the program?
Well, they threatened to. And I just said, well, I can't say it on your show because you just had your child on. So, we don't want No, but I expletives, can't say it. I basically said, you're not going to give it to me? Well, then, So I took it, and then they said, okay, you can come back for your senior year. But then John Michael called, and he just said, I need you in New York to do this thing at La Mama, and this is a true story. I said, what is it about? He said, well, it's kind of based on the Bible. And I said, not my favorite book. But, it was John Michael, who's brilliant, and everybody that I love, that I had gone to school with, whom I haven't seen for a year. And when he told us what he wanted to do and why, I said, I stopped listening to you halfway through because I just bought my plane ticket. I'm on the plane right now.
Wait a second.
Peggy, I didn't know that. I thought you did it at school. When did By My Side come into the show?
Oh.
When did what?
When did By My Side come into the show? It wasn't in the show at school? Go no. See, Seth, I just learned something.
The original music was written by a math student. I think his name is Dwayne Bollock. He was not a composer. Trust me, if you were to hear the original music, it is so oddly rangy and dissonant with jumps and intervals that, only a math student and not a composer would write, which is why somebody said to me, wasn't the music hummable? I said, if it had been hummable, we wouldn't have needed Stephen. So basically, we had these 8 weird songs, and then I added one. Jeffrey Milet added one, and God bless Stephen. He kept mine.
So, Stephen, someone called, by the way, this is the cast we're talking about. That was in New York, right? Is this the cast?
No.
It's a cast, but not the original.
Not the original.
David Katz, I'm calling you out. Lily, New York cast. I've never seen anything more general. All right, David Katz.
A New York cast, but not the original cast.
The one with me, David holding my face. That's us.
Hold on.
Oh, look what Joanne
Thank
has.
you.
Okay, wait a minute. This is now going to be worth $1,000 for the Actors Fund. The mystery of the cake, Stephen. The mystery of the cake. The mystery of the Today Show cake. For 50 years, we've been trying to figure out. It's not your birthday, even though you're standing in front of the cake. And Joanne and I have the wine bottle. We're doing the Vanna White. It's not John Michael's birthday. What is this cake? Who can? Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah, too little, too late, David. You're fired.
That's not it.
What was the cake for?
We don't
I don't know. They gave it to us on the Today Show.
I know.
Maybe it was our.
If someone can answer the mystery of the cake that we've been trying to solve for 50 years, this is the original cast on the Today Show. Stephen is in front of the cake. People think it's your birthday. It wasn't his birthday.
Do you think it was like a certain 3-month anniversary or something?
I can't even, zoom in on that.
Like us to do that, to celebrate the anniversary every month. They wouldn't even like us to do that.
I don't know. I got on the show and they handed me a cake and said, "Hold it."
Oh, well.
I bet Richie Labonte remembers. He's got a good memory.
He thought it was Steve's birthday. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This is what happens when we're all together.
We all ate carbs back in the day.
I can tell you one thing, that was the first time I saw anything of Godspell. I saw it on the Today Show.
Oh, wow.
And that's why I auditioned for it, because I thought I could do that. Maybe I could do that.
Oh, I love that. That's why TV exposure is so important, man. So Stephen Schwartz, you were in New York, and John Michael, that's his name, right? He knew you from Carnegie Mellon, and he said, "Can you come in and write the show?"
No, I actually did know John Michael from Carnegie Mellon. We were kind of friends there, and I knew nothing about the show, but the gentlemen who ultimately were the producers of the show, Edgar Lansbury and Joseph Baru, knew me because I had auditioned Pippin for them about 6 months before, and they were not interested in Pippin. But then several months later, out of the blue, I got a phone call from their office, and they said, "There's this show playing at the Cafe La Mama, and tomorrow night, March 7th, is the last night of that run, but we think it has commercial potential and we think it needs a score. Would you go see it?" Now, Edgar still tells me that I was the first person they called, but that can't be true because they're not insane. They must have called every known composer in New York, all of whom said no. And the night before it closed at Cafe La Mama, they were like, "What about that kid with the Charlemagne musical?"
How old were you, Stephen, when that happened?
23.
20 effing 3. Okay, do me a favor.
You're all
Stephen.
23. Joanne, what were you, like 21?
I turned 20 after opening night.
Right.
19.
She was 19. Yeah. I was 20.
Right. I was
Lamar was old. Lamar was 26.
Stephen, how long did they give you to write the score, Stephen?
5 weeks. I saw the show on March 7th, and then, which was a Sunday, and I think I met with Edgar and Joe and John Michael the next day and signed on. And they said, "Great, we go into rehearsal on April 11th.
Right.
So
that's
go."
Right. Oh my God. That's right.
That's called someone whose music just flows through them naturally.
Hey, wait. Can I just say the line I've been saying to every interviewer that gets the gasp? He didn't just write new music to 8 songs. He created 5 additional songs and musicalized the prologue, which had been spoken. Any normal composer, the prologue alone would have taken 6 months. I have to say it, honey.
I want to talk about the prologue in one moment because I have a clip I want to show. But do me a favor, Stephen, go to the private chat and can you read through those donations? I'd love to keep the donations going. Just look up 3 private chats. It begins with
I see private chats, but mostly they're things from David Katz saying nice
things. No, that's it. Those are donations. Thanks, Becca. Do you see that?
Yes, I see. So one is yes, thank you, Julie Riddle, and Gladys from California. I'm not saying the amounts.
No, we need the whole. Read all the.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you. Okay, here's the one. Thanks, Becca, for the match from Amy B, fellow Broadway fan in Detroit. Amy from Michigan, $50. Here's one from Gladys from California, saying nice things about me and Godspell.
Read it. I'm reading it then. Godspell and Pippin were huge parts of my youth. We're not skipping over this. And it is sweet to hear Mr. Schwartz and the original cast share their stories. To Seth and James, not only do you indulge us longtime fans, but also broaden our taste by shining a light on overlooked gems. Godspell's not overlooked, but I totally agree. We've had these obscure shows. Thank you. Thank you, Gladys. $75. Stephen, read the next one and stop editing.
It is so great to see all of your faces and hear the stories. As a Catholic kid in the 70s, I was obsessed with Godspell. Thank you for making Jesus music cool. This is from Julie Riddle, and a nice contribution of $25. Hey, one thing I want to say while I have the floor about the Actors Fund, Seth, which is a fantastic organization that you are supporting, and you said that the name is confusing because everybody thinks it's just for actors. But I just learned 2 days ago that there is a special fund as part of it, which is called Songwriters Lifeline. And it is specifically for songwriters who are in need. And that's through the Actors Fund. So
very cool.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that there was an offshoot. I love that.
Yeah, I just learned, but it's administered through the Actors Fund. So songwriters who are in distress could reach out to the Actors Fund and ask about the Songwriters Lifeline.
Okay, A, I love that. B, while I have you all on the phone, we talk about the prologue. I would love you all, since I think we all have it so memorized, I'd love you all to pick one section and you can sing it and see if you remember it. So,
are you doing?
Yes.
Are you doing that? You have to play it.
I'm going to play it? No, well, because it's too hard to play and sing at the same time. Do you really think so?
You have to have something. You start. Go, Peggy.
Who's number? Yeah, who wants to go first?
Imagination, intuition, reason, touch.
No, number one, the first one.
Things the same to go on, but he is all things in all, and he is nothing in any. He is often found in one thing small. Conversely, he is often found in many. Oh, I forgot the last line.
Excellent. No, you did the whole thing.
Wow.
I can't believe you remember that.
Is the next one?
Martin.
Nowadays. When does the rise of man?
Not yet.
We're doing it whenever we feel it.
And man is inevitable. Instead of admiring my romance.
This is what often happened on stage. The
guy that God here and eyes. Rome remains so strong.
Yeah. We'll be there ere long. Something like that.
Right now it's wrong words, but close enough. Aren't you glad you asked for this?
Okay.
Johnny wasn't in this part.
I'm gonna opt out.
Johnny was sitting in his underpants, facing up stage.
That's right. I got to listen to it every night, and it is genius, by the way.
Okay. So people don't know, it's basically all these different great philosophers singing their theories, and then Stephen Schwartz. This is based on your Irving Berlin obsession, isn't it?
Kind of. All for the Best is really based on the Irving Berlin obsession, but yeah, it's counterpoint. Don't forget, I wasn't too long out of music school in those days. I was only a few years past Juilliard, so I could still do this kind of thing. God help me if I had to do it now.
Oh, that's so great.
Well, people don't know, all those different parts then come together like this.
What does it matter if they don't agree?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We were not mic'd. This was the 10th anniversary reunion production. We were not mic'd. Just like at the promenade. Cherry Lane, we were not mic'd. That was ridiculous.
Those are the old days. No, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. So I want to keep doing history. So you're at La Mama, which, by the way, is like where Torch Song Trilogy began. Like, it's a really cool, hip place. And who's the person that came to it and was like, pluck, and then moved it off Broadway?
We actually had 3 offers.
Edgar
One
and
was
Joe,
to move
wasn't
it
it?
directly to Broadway, which would have been a disaster. Another was to tour. And then Lansbury Baru came and they said, Cherry Lane, and we will give you, here are the magic words, total artistic control, except for the music, because as Joe said, everybody who knows Joe was like, where's the dawning of the age of Aquarius song? I can't hum a single one of these songs. So, aside from the music, we were giving total artistic control.
Yeah.
And then they brought in our friend. They had no idea he had gone to school with us. It was so funny. They brought in our friend.
Oh, and that's how he came in. So so Stephen Schwartz, this is what really put you on the map. It was pre-Pippin, right?
Yes. Yeah. Pippin existed, and it had actually been optioned by Stuart Ostro already, but then Godspell came along, and as we said earlier, happened very fast. It definitely is what launched me. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to discuss. First of all, Stephen, you once told me that like everyone made up their own harmonies. Joanne, is that really true? Like you just sort of like made up your harmony during rehearsal?
Oh yeah, that was the beauty of it. Working with Stephen, I mean, you had all those notes, right? And if you had an ear, pick one. And usually if somebody could go here and somebody could go there, they couldn't go there, you go there, and that's what made it beautiful. And sometimes there were just some odd combinations of harmonies that were just so unbelievably beautiful, like in different songs where the notes just rubbed just right.
Yeah, what we used to do was we would take one of the songs, whoever was singing the lead vocal for that particular song would sing it, and the rest of the cast would start to just sing along and make up harmonies. There were so many extremely creative musical minds, Peggy being among them, but Jeffrey and Robin and a few others. Joanne, you were fantastic doing that. And basically I and Stephen Reinhardt, who was musical director, would just sort of pick and choose and say, all right, all the girls in this one place, sing what Joanne is singing. And that's how all those cool arrangements got made. And Seth, I told you the story that then after that, when I went to Pippin, and it was like a Broadway show with an equity cast, and I walked in the first day for music rehearsal and tried to do that with Morning Glow, and everybody just looked at me as if I was insane. And so I just had to go home then and just write all the harmonies.
You're giving us too much credit. Here's really what would happen. We would come up with stuff. Joanna and I came up with the Oz in Day by Day. Stephen said, that is so weird. Let me do that. We sang it for him again, and then he would finesse it. So it's not like whatever we came up with was the final part.
No, it was edited. It was all edited. But the point is that there was this collaborative, which is just how the show was put together too. Yes. It was all collaboration, and the performers, the cast, making suggestions and trying things. And basically John Michael and I and Steve Reinhardt did mostly editing in terms of vocals and the improvisations that the cast was doing.
I would say finessing.
I don't know when it graduated to the next step of sophistication, but even for the second company, it went the same way. We didn't even have the score. We had the lyrics. And we sat around the piano with Steve Reinhardt, sometimes Stephen Schwartz, and we sang the same way. And we didn't have to duplicate what the original people did. It wasn't even written down. Wow. Stephen would say, one of the Stephens would say, yeah, do that, or try that one. You have a higher voice, that you have a lower, whatever. It was the most amazing thing. Of course, that was a unique experience for all of us, never to happen again. But eventually you wrote it down somehow.
Now it's all written down and people read it and sing what's written.
Oh, how boring.
But they're singing things that Joanne invented and Peggy invented and maybe Mickey ones that you invented or Bob, they're now they're enshrined in the score.
Except the harmonies you did for By My Side were absolutely exquisitely beautiful.
Well, Peggy, as Peggy's telling this story that the Edgar and Joe, brought me in and said like, okay, you're going to rewrite the songs. And I said, well, great. There's this one song that sort of the Mary Magdalene-esque character sings, and it's so beautiful. And I said, I could write a different version of it, but why? Why not just use that song? But then, as you know, Peggy, I was so devoted to it. And getting the backup vocals just being beautiful and oceanic. Yeah.
Gorgeous. Because originally it was just me and Gilmer singing. And when I heard the background vocals, I forgot to sing. It was so beautiful.
Well, why don't I show it if people haven't heard it, all the fans. But let's all listen to this beautiful song that Peggy wrote.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Can you take me with you? For my hand is cold and knees warm. Where are you going? Far beyond the skies tonight, where the horizon lies and the land sinks into the blueness of these. Take me with me. Let me skip the road with you. I can dare myself. I can dare myself. Off the pedal in my shoe and watch me walk. I can walk and walk. I shall call the pebble there. I shall call the pebble there. We will talk together about walking. There shall we carried, and when we both have had enough, I will take him from my shoe, singing, meet your new road. And I'll take your hand, guide me there, and he by my side.
That choreography now.
Peggy, it's 50 years later. All the hairs on my arms still stood up. So beautiful.
This is Joanne's high harmony part, though. Marley couldn't sing it. Oh.
I still remember my harmony.
I know you did. Bobby was in that. Bobby was in that.
I could hear it.
It's hilarious.
Oh, it's so beautiful. We're gonna take a medical break right now. By the way, on just a total side note, this is like what all my friends are so showbiz. I was walking with my friend Andrea Burns, who was in the Heights on Broadway. We were walking through the Bronx Zoo, and I had to take off my shoe for a second. And I said, "Ugh!" I said, "I have something in my shoe." And she literally goes, "Is it a pebble? Is it Dare?" I was like, "It is so inside that she knew it was called Dare." All right, we're gonna take a medical break. Dr. LaPook, I'll bring you all back. But Mark, I know you have a question, so Mark, I'll leave you on screen. So
Thanks.
I'll see you all in a minute. See you in a minute. Is it Dare? Don Scardino, Ms. Gordon, and our doc. By the way, I don't want everyone to forget. Tonight we have matching funds, so I'm loving the donations. Keep them coming. You go to starsinthehouse.com. That's where you make a donation, or you can text Fund 2020 to 56512, and then you forward a donation to donations@starsinthehouse.com, and then we will have one of these clowns literally read it out loud. Please welcome Dr. Jon LaPook.
Hi, guys.
Jon LaPook.
Hi. How are you?
Dr. LaPook, this is not only Godspell alumni, but also David Katz's voice teacher, Mark Planner.
Oh,
That would be me.
fabulous, David. Love his.
I am verklempt. Thank you. I'm verklempt that I get to ask you a question directly.
Go for it.
Okay, my sister has been doing volunteer work in Belize for the last couple of years. She's about to have her second shot of the AstraZeneca vaccine.
Okay.
Right, which is not approved in America.
Right.
And then she's going to wait a couple of weeks and she's going to come and visit me for the first time in 2 years. My question is she safe? Second question is, should she get revaccinated with one of the approved vaccines once she's here?
Boy, is that ever a tricky question. And the reason is that, the 3 that have been approved here, which are, the 2 messenger RNA, the Pfizer, the Moderna, and then the Johnson & Johnson, I've really looked at all of the data there, and I'm very confident. If you had said that she got one of those and she comes back, I'd say absolutely she's double vaxxed. The AstraZeneca does look like it's a good vaccine, though. I mean, they had very good results, but we don't have the same FDA EUA, the emergency use authorization. So that's a tricky one. I'm not sure how to answer that. I think the answer probably is that she is protected, and I bet you that the FDA in coming weeks is going to probably start to address these issues because it's coming up more and more as people come in. This brings up a question because and it's related, which is I'm hearing more and more and more in the last 72 hours. Well, how about just getting a blood test to see if she has spike antibodies, right? The FDA has specifically sent out a letter saying that it's not approved to do that for that indication, and the reason is we don't know, fancy term, the correlate of protection. We don't know how much antibody, if you get an antibody result, results in how much protection. So even if you got a result, we wouldn't know how to interpret it. That's for somebody who's normal.
Wait, who is in the Lincoln Tunnel?
Spike Jones? Is Spike Jones in your apartment somewhere?
Happening?
You're going to hear the Birdaphone pretty soon.
That's crazy. Okay, keep going.
So, we did a story about people who are immunocompromised or immunodeficient, and if they, in them, again, we don't quite know what to do, but it is not unreasonable, as we like to say, to check an antibody level in those people, and if it's 0, non-existent, you can talk about thinking about getting a booster. Again, that's not FDA-approved protocol. It's just us flying by the seat of the pants until we figure out what to do. The AstraZeneca, in somebody who's healthy, should give them good, protection. It's done very well in the trial.
Yeah,
I can't give you an official. Here's what the FDA says to do.
But I mean, it's approved in Canada and it's approved in England. It's not like they have that many different variants than we do.
Yeah, no, I think it's done well against the variants in general. I think the reason why it's not approved here are, there are some things that the FDA is requiring that haven't quite happened quickly enough. There was an issue for a while about, where there's some clotting issues, but again, those seem to be quite unusual. So I'm sorry I'm not giving you the perfect answer, but again, I think one of the things that we've had to do during this pandemic is to say, I don't know, rather than just, saying, coming up with something. And you've heard me say, here's an asterisk all the time, so that that when I say, here's what I think we should be doing, it's based on evidence. The AstraZeneca coming here, I'm not sure what the FDA would say. It's hard for me to then say, here's what I think you should do. She's probably okay.
And is there anything? Sorry, Seth. Is there anything? Could she possibly be vaccinated with one of our approved vaccines, even though she's been already vaccinated?
Yeah. I don't know that there's a protocol for that. There's, people have been asking that. Should I get a booster even if I had the first 2 and my antibody levels aren't high enough? And again, we don't know the correlate of protection. So, people. This is kind of off-label time. We're building the plane as it's taking off here a little bit. Although a lot of the plane is assembled when it comes to the messenger, the Pfizer and the Moderna and the Johnson & Johnson. It's just these people coming in, having had these other vaccines. Somebody was asking about the one that was made in China or one that was made in Russia. Again,
right.
We don't have. It's hard for me to feel as confident, but from what I've seen for AstraZeneca, it does look like it's a good vaccine.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So, Mark, I'll see you back in a moment. Dr. LaPook,
can you bring Don Scardino back? Call an audible here.
Unfortunately, no, of course we can. 1, 2, 3, Don Scardino.
Boom.
Don Scardino. Hey, man.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you, man?
So
I have directed a film by Jonathan LaPook.
Oh, one of the ethical.
Empathy Project film.
That's right. The Empathy Project. That's right.
Did I see it?
That Tom Fontana wrote. So I'm actually calling an audible here. I've been working on a project called the Empathy Project for 8 years. The idea is to make Hollywood quality short films to teach doctors in training and clinicians to be more empathetic, sensitive, and competent, and to empower patients to demand that, not just to say, hey, that's nice, but to demand it. I have been waiting to go public with it. I was actually going to do it in the near future. And now when I saw Don, I'm going to say it's Bashir. It's meant to be. This is going to be the first really public announcement that we are doing this. And Don directed a movie called The Family. Basically, the story was that there was a woman who had a breast cancer that had spread to her intestinal tract, and the surgeon went in to try to stop the blockage, and unfortunately was unable to do that. And believe it or not, this happened in real life. Instead of going out he had to just open and close, and the woman eventually died because you weren't able to relieve the obstruction. Instead of that doctor who had the relationship with the family, who was waiting anxiously in the waiting room, going out himself and saying, here's the story, he sent a resident who had never met the family to give this news. And this precipitated Tom Fontana writing this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful film. Irene Burns produced it, and Don Scardino directed it. And we're using it to teach medical students. And in fact, we have the way it really happened. And then we said, what would it be like if it was done a better way? So not necessarily the right way. There's no right and wrong way, but a better way. And we did another version, the better way, with terrific Brian Darcy James and Annalee Ashford and
Elizabeth Davis from Once. Remember Elizabeth Davis?
Fantastic.
She's and it was great because the two different doctors, basically the same news, and we sort of shot them like as mirrors of each other. Only one doctor has empathy and knows how to talk to these people with compassion, and the other one is way out of her depth. And even though she's well intended, she does a poor job of it. So as a training film for young medical professionals, and just as a drama itself, but as a training film, it's very powerful. It was really an honor to do.
There's so many of them. I've seen 2 of them already. They're so great.
We have a bunch of them, and it's being used to teach medical students at NYU Langone Health and residents, and it's really coming out big right now. Believe it or not, we're making an animated film. I'll just leave it at that right now. But I'm going to say for the very first time to the public, go ahead, take a look at it. Go to empathyproject.com. This is the unveiling right here, calling an audible. Empathyproject.com. Just one word, empathyproject.com. And then on the top right, it says films. You can click on those. You'll see films. Delia Ephron wrote one about listening, the one that Tom Fontana did. We worked with Second City Chicago to do some kind of funnier ones, 2-minute ones. You'll see those. There's a film from a 4th-year medical student talking about her experience. There's a film from my father, my father died at 99 3/4 a few years ago. But a year or 2 before he died, he talked about falling and fracturing his pelvis. He fortunately recovered from that. But he went to the orthopedist, and the whole time the orthopedist was talking to my sister. And finally, my father said, hey, you should be talking to me, doctor. I'm the patient. And the doctor put his hand on my father's hand and says, we'll make another appointment for you. My father goes, I never made another appointment. So this is, we want to have an empathy library. We want people contributing their experiences in short. So here it is. It's now officially launched, guys, based on me seeing Don Scardino. And we'll move up the launch date to right this second on Stars in the Hat.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I've seen that. I didn't. Oh, this is so great. All right. So Dr. LaPook, we will see you hopefully Tuesday with Jose Lana, and if not, Wednesday game night. All right. Peace out. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye, Jonathan.
Love you.
He's very sweet.
Oh, the best.
let me bring on your castmates. We have Binky, and we have a Peggy.
I'm going to get all these donations. Oh my God.
And we got a lot more. We got Steve, and we got Joanne. So Peggy, why don't you read the donations in the private chat?
Oh, God, there's so many of them. Should I start from the bottom up? Okay, I can only
start from the top down.
Right now. They just move so fast. Okay, so thank you for recognizing 50 years of this fabulous show. Oh my God, 50 years, Stephen, 50 years. I'm just saying. My wife, Kathleen, was in a regional production for 5 years back in the 70s and later directed production in her church that our daughter was able to be a part of. Lovely to see Stephen and the cast. Good-looking cast, good going Seth. Sorry. Glenn from Easton, Pennsylvania. $50, Glenn.
Read the one before, Peggy.
My go-to OBC as a kid. Stars in the House is the theater, what the Paley Center is to television. I was a B theater student in March 2019. I am an A student now. Thanks to Seth and James. Mark from Massachusetts, $50. Woo! There's more. There's so much more.
We love Mark. Hey, Binky, read the one that we skipped.
All right. Godspell has been a family affair. My father played Herbie in a production before I was born. I was the kid running around backstage when my mom played Sonia. And 13 years later, I played Sonia myself and even recycled parts of my mom's costume. This show means the world to me, and I try to see a production whenever I hear of one playing nearby. Starting with the 1988 revival, thanks to Stephen and the team for an amazing show that stands the test of time. Turn Back, Oh Man, Sharon Northrop, LA, $50.
Thank you.
And it's my chance to actually announce that I contributed $50. Nobody ever reads my things, and whenever I contribute. But anyway, I'm going to get to read it. I did it in memory of Lamar Alfred, who was the first person to play. It was, again, the Lamar role is Lamar Alfred. I was lucky enough to be the first among many to follow in his footsteps. And that brings me to another point. Not that long after Godspell opened, we faced an epidemic that in certain ways was sort of like this one, where people were getting sick and the government was ignoring it. And not to bring everybody down, but I can't do this without acknowledging that 2 of the original cast members, 2 of the guys out of 5 of the original cast died from complications of AIDS. Wow. 2 of my cast, the second cast, also died of complications of AIDS, from AIDS. And I think of them every time I see anything about Godspell, or I hear anything about Godspell, or I'm lucky enough to participate in something. And so I'm here actually in memory of Lamar and Merrill Jackson, who played Lamar in the movie, who also died of complications from AIDS.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm so glad you said that. And I do agree. There's definitely a parallel. Those of us that lived through those early days, I totally see the parallel. I completely agree. You were All Good Gifts, but also I feel, Bob, weren't you also on All Good Gifts?
I did. I understudied on Broadway, and then the 10th anniversary production here, I did All Good Gifts. And I played it many times on Broadway because Lamar had a tendency to be out. So I was very lucky to do it there because I love that song.
Couldn't stop eating that crappy pizza and throwing up.
I have we made a quote unquote mixtape of 2 different versions of All Good Gifts. This goes from Bob to Binky, as we say in the business. Bob to Binky.
On the land, it is fed and watered by God's almighty hand. He sends the snow in winter, the waters will the gray, the breezes and the sunshine, and soft, refreshing rain. now desirous our humble, thankful hearts. All good gifts around us are sent from heaven above.
By the way, that cutie on the recorder.
That's Joanne doing her clown.
Yes, indeed. The guy on the recorder, that cutie was Dean Pitchford. Just for your information.
Oh my God!
That's right.
Yes, Queen. Okay, so Stephen Schwartz, I have questions for you. As I'm thinking through a lot of these songs, I'm feeling like, well, two things I want to ask. The style was so different. Like I'd never heard such a piano-centric score before. Was that because you were like, oh, I guess maybe the Fantastics, but that still had a different flavor to it. Like, why did you come up with that piano-centric? Was it because you were just off Broadway and you were like, we only have one piano?
It's just because that's how I wrote. That was the kind of music that I was listening to at the time. You know, it's a sort of singer-songwriter of the 70s sound. You're not hearing in the in this mix. Yes, it's piano soundtrack, but there's also a lot of guitar. It was just sort of a pop band, and I was one of the people at the time. Andrew over in England with Jesus Christ Superstar, and a few years later, Alan Menken here. You know, we were the ones who were starting to bring the pop music that we were listening to and singing along with into the theater. So this was the shift, and I guess the sort of singer-songwriter music of the early 70s, a lot of it, Laura Nyro and others, was very piano oriented.
Yeah, Carly Simon, Carole King.
Yeah, Elton John.
So I love that. Of course, that led to Pasek and Paul. I mean, it led to William Finn. It led to all that new style. So my other question is, I feel there's a lot of duality in songs. For instance, like in Bless the Lord, but then it's what's with the double whammies? I love it.
That's a lot of credit to Laura Nyro, because she was the first, right? If you think of like Eli's Comin' and some of the other Laura Nyro songs, I remember hearing her music and suddenly realizing that rock songs didn't all have to stay in the same tempo all the way through. They could shift. And that was really inspired by her.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I love that. And then Joanne, I love the cool who came up with all that cool harmony, and then you cross parts and you go on top while the harmony goes to the bottom?
We just did. We just played with it. That's exactly what it was. He will not always shine. And you had to hit
come on, honey, we can do it.
I wish we could,
We could.
Me too.
And then who came up with the idea of the high A, and when did you decide, oh my God, now I have to do it 8 times a week?
Joanne did it to herself.
I did it myself one night. It was just like
she doomed herself.
Yeah, it's kind of like I was so motivated that I just went black, and then I went, "Oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this forever."
Did you ever have a crash and burn?
Yes.
Somebody fell on one night, and I was going back into the show. I had done Grease. Going back into the show, I was watching to see if anything had changed. And I was sitting with the stage manager, and somebody fell, and the stage manager said, "You have to go on as Joanne now." And I said, "Wait a minute. So what are you paying me?" 1/8, and I said, I'll sing that song in the original key for a week's salary. They gave me a week's salary.
Fair enough.
What did you mix it, belt it? Where was the placement?
I belted it. I just.
You can do it now.
Adrenaline.
When you're young, you can do anything.
You should hear Bob Garrett's warm up.
Yeah, right.
Before he goes on, it's classic. Can you still do it, Bobby?
Oh, which one?
Your one note warm up.
Rose Allen. We love
Rose Allen. That's
Let me
right.
say about Stephen's harmony. Seriously, once we learned them, they are here forever. When we were rehearsing for the Orphan Starfish, for you, it was unbelievable how we Paul Schaefer was playing the piano, how we would, Vicky, isn't this true? We were standing around the piano, and then all of a sudden, when it came time for what is the harmony part that the girls are supposed to sing on Bless the Lord, it was like, I got it. I remembered it. Patty Mariana was like, and because it's all here. You drilled us so well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Again, it's like Godspell's a gift that keeps on giving. Just not a year and a half ago, before the pandemic, Donnie, Peggy, and I got to do this tribute to Stephen Schwartz to raise money for another wonderful, worthy cause called the Orphan Starfish Foundation. And it included the three of us and then other Godspellians, including Paul Kreppel, who also directed it. And just like Peggy said, we stood around the piano and it came back as if it had been yesterday. And it was just the most amazing experience to do it again.
We could all still do the show. It would be very slow, but we could
Very
still do this.
slow.
There'd be a lot of crackling of knees.
Yeah.
And Paul Schaefer. Paul
And Paul
Schaefer sat down at the piano, played.
Did
Well,
the
he
whole
never-
thing, no music.
He never used music. I mean, he's that kind of freak where he can just do anything by ear. It's like,
Yeah, he can play
Like
anything.
you, Seth, as a matter of fact.
no, he's I'm like Mr. Like, I went to conservatory, write it out for me. He is like all here, but I appreciate the compliment. That's not me. I'm going to give you a little
anything he
blessing.
ever heard.
You can hear a lot of the cool harmony in this version of Bless the Lord. Let's enjoy Joanne Sassafras.
I'm ready to obey. Oh yeah. He pardons all thy sins, prolongs thy feeble breath. He heals thy infirmities and ransoms thee from death. Oh yeah. He clothes thee with his love, upholds thee with his truth, and like the eagle he renews the vigor of thy youth. Then bless his holy name, whose graces may thee hope, whose love and kindness crowns thy day. Bless the Lord, my soul. Bless the Lord, my soul. Bless the Lord. Oh, bless the Lord, my soul. 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 Bless the Lord, bless the Lord. Bless the Lord, bless the Lord. Bless the Lord, 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 bless the Lord. Oh, bless the Lord. Oh, bless the Lord, my soul. Oh, bless the Lord, my soul.
Oh, Joanne.
What? Hey guys, what's with the like cutout trees? What is that?
We were appearing on a show called Camera 3, and they provided their own set.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, that's not really the set.
Not
there.
really.
Yeah.
It was a bold choice.
Gave it to our second. This is when we were in LA at the Mark Taper Forum. This was the fall of '71. Oh my God.
This is what life was like. It was like constantly doing these shows, the Tonight Show, the Tonight Show, you know, and you'd end up with this like cartoon background and you just went out and did it, you know, and people loved it. It was their way of going, oh, yes. Oh, tell me more, you know.
You know, the music. What I love, Stephen, is that each production has had their own different kind of arrangements. There was the off-Broadway one in 2001, and then the more recent. I'm going to bring on actually one of the Broadway cast members that was just in the one maybe 8 years ago. The amazing George. Yes, George Salazar. Hi, George.
Hi, George. Hi, 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm just I'm geeking out over here. I'm loving just keep talking.
I was going to show, this is a clip of the other version of Bless the Lord that you guys did. So, Stephen, when they come up with these new arrangements, do they call and they ask you, do you show up at rehearsal and then have a fit? Like, what happens? Go.
Oh, no. We work on them together.
They're so great.
Yeah. For this production, for the 2011 production, this fantastically talented arranger named Michael Holland. Do you know Michael?
Michael Holland.
Cabaret. He did all of the arrangements, and we'd go over them, but they were basically his. And then if I had suggestions, I would make them. But that's part of the fun. Alex Lackamoire did one of the tours. I'm really good arrangers have worked on this.
I love the chord changes in you'll hear in Bless the Lord near the end. And I also love just the rhythm change of Bless the Lord, my soul, right at the end.
Yeah, that's Michael.
Who came up with the idea of combining Beautiful City with the end, Prepare Ye at the end?
I think that was me.
Oh, that's breathtaking.
Thank you.
Writer. This is Lindsay. By the way, in every production, there stars come out of it. So this is Lindsay Mendez, who a couple years later had the Tony Award. And George is singing this too. And also every production goes up the octave. This is like the highest singing I've ever heard. But I love this new sassafras arrangement. It's crazy.
He pardons all thy sin, prolongs thy feeble breath. He healeth thine infirmities.
That's insane. She's so amazing.
I can't.
Oh my God.
My arrow.
God, that's amazing.
Can't even think that high.
I can't. No one can deal with that. So, Scardino, you took over as Jesus.
Yeah. I first joined the Toronto company when Victor got the movie, and Stephen had seen me at some Pippin auditions or something, and I didn't even have to audition. He says, just hire him. And I had the right papers because I've been working in Toronto, so I went there. So I replaced Victor, and that was the company with Gilda Radner and Marty Short and Eugene Levy, Paul Schaefer on the keyboard.
Andrew Martin.
Andrew Martin. Yeah. Dave Thomas was one of the understudies. It was quite a group. And then came into the New York show a few months later.
And then how did you segue from singing harmonies to directing 30 Rock? What the hell was that?
Well, I always used to put on puppet shows in my basement. And, I was, I wanted to tell stories. So after playing Jesus and Godspell, it's like, what do you do after that? You get to sing, dance, tell jokes, and die. And even Hamlet doesn't get to sing and dance, so it ruined me for anything else performing wise. And I went back to puppet shows, except I started using people instead of puppets, and started directing theater, and then started directing the Days and Nights of Molly Dodd and Law and Orders and stuff like that. And that brought me ultimately to 30 Rock and other things.
And now his daughter, if you don't know, his daughter created that hilarious new show, Girls 5 Eva.
Yeah.
Yes, actually, she's not my daughter. She is a cousin.
Let me. It's better for TV to say it's your daughter.
The jewel of my eye. Yeah.
It's easier this way. It's a cleaner story. So anyway, I found this clip of you sounding amazing, and of course, right underneath it was like the best singing Jesus ever, and the comment was from Bob Garrett. So I thought it was so sweet. So listen how clear Don's voice is, and listen how not clear Paul Schaefer's voice is trying to sing back up. But anyway, just spot the contrast.
Shall crime bring crime forever, strength aiding still the strong? Is it thy will, O Father, that man shall toil for wrong? Oh, no, say thy mountain, no, say thy skies. Man's clouded sun shall brightly rise, and songs be heard instead of sighs. God save the
Everybody
people.
Oh, God save the people. Come on, all you Godspellers. Oh, God save the people.
God save the people.
Oh, God save the people.
God save the people. God save the people. God save the people.
Donnie, what did we do with On the Willows when Paul was playing the show? Who sang it?
Well, Paul is a great mimic. He just did a Steve Reinhardt impression.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
That is hilarious.
Hilarious.
Okay, so I want to talk about Beautiful City. So Stephen Schwartz, you got the movie deal, and I know when Charles Strauss got Bye Bye Birdie, they were like, we need to have a title song, and he had to write that. Is that why they added Beautiful City? Because you needed an extra song? I mean, what was the reason?
The director, David Green, the director of the movie, felt that he didn't want to include We Beseech Thee. That he just felt it was a theater song and wouldn't translate that well to film because it's essentially based on energy. Whether or not I agreed with him, he was the director of the movie. So I wrote a different song. I wrote a song called Beautiful City. To be honest, I wasn't that crazy about the song in the movie. And then several years later, after the Rodney King riots, there was a benefit in Los Angeles to raise money for South Central LA. And they did sort of a concert of Godspell. And I rewrote the lyrics to Beautiful City and did a different arrangement of it for that concert version. And then I really liked that. And from that point on, it's been in the show, but in that version.
So it's a double whammy. And George Salazar, just talk for a second about your experience doing Godspell. Were you one of those kids that grew up obsessed with the show? Did they do it in your school?
I never got to do it in high school because I got started in theater too late. But it was obviously one of those gateway musicals, right? That like you hear it. I remember I had a vinyl recording of it. That was like my first musical theater album. I had that, and then I had like Carousel, and I listened to Godspell way more than I listened to Carousel.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And then talk about your crazy audition process, because I have to say, a lot of the people I feel on the screen that auditioned for it, it was either Don Scardino offered it, Peggy creating it, But the next, it's always like, I'm always like 7 days of improv, mime, panto. George, what did you have to do? It gives me a splitting headache. And my day was saying 16 bars, but got cast. Go.
Yeah, I always refer to it as like an abusive relationship, because it was like 7 stages, literally. I think I had like 6 callbacks actually. And after every one, Craig Burns at Telsey would call my agent and say, everyone loves George, it's just not going any further. And then I would like mourn and cope and then move past all the stages of grief. And then we'd get another call and they'd be like, we actually want to see George again. And so then I'd go back in, do it again. I did that probably like 5 times. And finally, the last time I did it, the last time I did it, I got there an hour early and they were running an hour behind. And I was watching all these new people come in. And I remember being like, oh man, like, so they see all these new people, the new people leave. And then they call me in, I do my thing, I walk out and I was like, I think I got this. I think I got it. And then sure enough, like a half hour later, I did it. And Stephen, I'm forever indebted to you. This musical, like, it just changed my life. It changed my career and it will always hold the specialist place in my heart. But wow, were those auditions insane. I mean, yeah, it was like tell a parable, as if you're speaking to a room of people filled with deaf people, blind people, like you've got to appeal to every sense. I remember Julia Madison did like an audition where she like cracked eggs in the room, like, and made a mess. I did impressions of Harriet Winslow from Family Matters and Gilbert Gottfried and Aaron Neville, I think. Like, it was so strange. But I fortunately got to do it, and it was the time of my life. I made lifelong friends.
Holy cannoli. Well, I brought George on because he's going to actually give us a live song.
Yay.
I know. So, Georgie, I'm going to move you. I'm going to do fancy style. Move you up here.
Oh.
Now, on a side note, if you love George's voice, and how could you not, we're going to be doing a concert next Sunday, the Seth Concert Series, just saying. So come see us on Sunday. Georgie, all right, so I'm going to make you even larger. Here we go. All right, lay it on, everybody.
All right, here we go. This is not a song I sang in the show, but it is one of my favorites. Oh, God. Give me a second. You got to plug into the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. Out of the ruins and rubble, out of the smoke, out of our night of struggle, can we see a ray of hope? One pale thin ray reaching for the day we can build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but we can build a city of men. We may not reach the ending, but we can start. Slowly but truly mending, brick by brick, heart by heart. Now, maybe now, we start learning how we can build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but we can build a city of men. When your trust is all but shattered, when your faith is all but killed, you can give up bitter and battered, or you can slowly start to build a beautiful city. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can build a beautiful city, not a city of angels, but finally a city of men. A city of men. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh,
Beautiful song.
It's gorgeous.
God, it's just beautiful.
That version of it is just beautiful.
You know, I just have to say that this show, Stephen's score, John Michael's work, making all these friends that we still have in our lives, and having the thrill of doing this show every night is the gift of our lives. I really have to say that.
Yeah, no question about it. It changes lives in a way that no other show does, to the people who do it and the people who see it. It's extraordinary.
Yeah, I gotta say, there's like a really beautiful bond that happens too between actors and audience. Like, I am still in touch with a lot of the fans from that revival, and yeah, I mean, it just creates this kind of unbreakable bond throughout the whole space, right? Not just with your actors, but across the board. So, thank you guys for laying the pavement and doing the damn thing.
Let me ask, because this show is sort of kind of break forth Wally. Any crazy experiences? Like, did anyone ever come up on stage, or did anyone's Bink?
Well, two things happened at the Promenade. First of all, after they run and become this huge hit at the Cherry Lane Theater, which is tiny down in the Village, they moved up to 76th Street to the Promenade Theater, which is where I got to do it. I thought they were crazy. I'd never been north of 59th Street. I thought, who the hell is going to go up to 76th Street? But anyway, ran there for about 5 years. And it was in a welfare, what they used to call a welfare hotel.
Oh, yeah.
So one day, a lost child from the welfare hotel walked up on stage during Turn Back, Oh Man. And we're doing our thing, you know, and Sonia's singing, and this kid is wandering between us and around us. And I thought, he's going to get trampled if somebody doesn't do something quick. So I left my partner and I picked him up and I brought him to the same door that Judas leads and slams. And by that point, the stage management was ready to take him. So opened the door, in he went. So that was one experience. The audience applauded. The other one was somebody was playing with the fire hose above us, right above us, and turned it on full force. And during the crucifixion, we had to carry Dan Stone out, who was our Jesus at the time. We had to take a different route out because it was pouring with rain on the stage. I mean, pouring. But we did it.
Yeah. I remember the night Jacqueline Kennedy came, and she came with Peter Duchin and the two kids. And there's a moment in Light of the World where we have these poppers, where, you know, those New Year's Eve poppers, and the poppers went off, and the Secret Service came running into the show because they didn't know what it was. It sounded like a gun or guns.
Oh my God, that's terrifying. Don Square, do you know? What about you? Oh, you're on mute, girl. It's a lot of chat for a director.
Okay. Yeah, really. So, you know, we used to serve wine to the audience at intermission. They would come up on stage and we'd give them wine, and anybody who wanted to press a sweaty clown could at intermission. And so I was handing out wine, and this group of 3 or 4 nuns came up, full habit, the whole thing. And I gave wine, the first one, the second one, the third one, took the wine, put it down, grabbed me, and kissed me full on the lips. And said, I've been married to you for 13 years. I never knew you were this cute.
That's clever now.
Yeah, and I was also, the other side of that, a woman came up after the show and in Toronto, when I was doing Toronto Company, and said, can I speak to Jesus, please? And she was holding a Bible. And she was a lovely little girl, about 18. And so I came out and she said, do you believe that every word that Jesus said was true? And I said, well, yes, of course. And she said, then how can you do this blasphemy? And she whacked me upside the head with the Bible and kept hitting me, blasphemy. It took Marty Short and Eugene Levy and the stage manager to get this woman off me and take her out of the green room.
Oh, well, my God, Marty Short is so tiny, kind of.
Oh, there he is. There we are.
Oh, my God. And here you are with Victor.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The one time, Victor, we were both broke, and they said, we're going to do it at Westbury Music Fair. Do you want to do it? So I said yes, and I ran into Victor, and he said, I'm broke too. This was after the movie, by the way. He said, I'm broke too. And I said, well, why don't you come and play Judas? And he said, what? And I said, well, it would be a laugh if nothing else. What's the week at Westbury Music Fair? So I conned him into playing Judas, and they were getting ready to go out.
That's nice. You can give him some health insurance weeks. George, you have to tell your story, because if anyone's going to appreciate your story, it's these people. And you know the story I mean.
Yes, I know. Seth is obsessed with this story. I'm glad someone finds it funny. I'm sweating right now. I'm in LA. It's hot in here. I am worried about the air conditioner also being too loud for this, so it's off.
You can't even hear it. Oh, that's why.
Damn it. Okay, so I'm sweating right now. So I'm a sweaty actor, and in Godspell I was very sweaty. And they thought that they had everything figured out. They rigged my mic like right here on my glasses so that my sweat would never get into it. Because we're on stage the whole time. There's no like running off to get your mic switched out. So somehow I am still so sweaty that I sweat into the mic that is not connected to my body. That it's actually like 2 inches off my face. I get my sweat into it. And I know it, like I can hear it. I'm like, oh God, like this is the worst. Wallace Smith, who played Judas, Charlie Alterman, our MD, passes Wallace a handheld mic that's in like an emergency box in his like little pit. And Wallace comes up to me in the middle of, I think it was the rich man parable. I'm doing the lines, and Lindsay is acting them out and lip syncing these lines. Wallace comes up and he goes, "You swear out your mic." And he hands me this handheld. And as you guys know, you'll understand this. It's a very like physical show. We're using all of our limbs. We're being as expressive as possible. And having to do this, like this action, and not being able to use this arm for like the bits, I completely went up. It was a complete disaster. My brain just flatlined. I had no idea where we were in the show. I couldn't think of I couldn't even think of a single word. There was just nothing was coming out of my mouth. And I looked over to the cast, and I'm pretty sure like I off mic, I just went, "Help me." And they all looked at me and went. And so I, with no idea what to do, and knowing I had to buy time because it was just uncomfortably silent in circles.
Here it comes, by the way. The story sounds normal up to this point. Keep going, George.
I decide to fake a heart attack on stage to buy time. Wait, Steven, you don't know this story? Okay, I literally grab my chest, I kind of bend forward, and I put the mic right up to my mouth, and I just go, and everyone in the audience is like, "What's the fans who were sitting in the pillow seats who did the rush every day were like, this isn't part of the show." I look over at stage management. Beverly Jenkins is up in the booth, and I see her watching, leaning forward, and then I see her get up, and then she realizes that I'm faking a heart attack to kill time, and she goes like this. And she just sits back and watches. Eventually, oh, you know what? This was after Lindsay left. So Hannah Ellis was on to replace her, and she had just joined. And if she started quizzing me on my lines, like she, instead of just like kind of giving me a line, she was like, it became this like almost charades game. And then eventually we got back on track. And I remember coming off stage after that and just being so horrified and embarrassed. And I remember I walked into Beverly Jenkins' office and I was like, please let me go home. I was like on the verge of tears. I was like, please let me go on. Don't make me go back. Don't make me go back. And she just looked at me and she goes, get over yourself. It happens all the time. And then I went on and finished the show. And that's the story of the time that I had a heart attack on Broadway.
You were like 26. No one believed you were having a heart attack.
Yeah, really?
You know?
Can we talk for 2 seconds about the amazing clown makeup? What was the concept behind that?
That's John Michael. That was John Michael's concept, based on a book by Harvey Cox from who was a professor of divinity at Harvard, and it was about Christ as clown, Christ as harlequin. And it was a whole theological concept. And so that, what the idea was that Jesus passed around makeup to the people who were to become his disciples, and they painted each other's faces. And that was an indication that they were joining his community. And then right before the crucifixion, they take the makeup off. And it's quite moving, actually. So that was a whole philosophical concept that was John Michael Teblack's.
Also, let me add to that, as John Michael explained to us, because I have to mention Steve's biographer, Carol Desgier, has written a definitive book about Godspell called The Godspell Experience. And I'm not going to spend time talking about what I call the Genesis story, because it's in the book. But the way John Michael explained this to us at our first night at La Mama, he had a horrible, horrible Easter Sunday church service experience. It was absolutely horrible. And again, it would take an hour and a half. But read the book because it's all in there. But let me just major shout out to these horrible people, because if not for them, there would be no Godspell. Okay, so the way he explained it to us is he said, we're going to take the guy out of the church. We're going to shove him into a child's fence playground. And after you finish being, 8 pontificating philosophers on a world stage, there will be a visual disintegration of this existing order. You will fight, throw garbage, chaos out of this pristine, place. You will come back in. It will be like a constructive amnesia. You will be pre-adolescent children who know nothing. You will be taught everything by this one and go through a process of learning. And as a result of learning through play in a child's fence playground, you will love him, love each other, and there will be the end result of that, the formation of a truly loving, empathic, inclusive community, which would be the polar opposite of what John Michael was exposed to at this Easter Sunday church service. But his point was, I'm choosing clowns also because they're children's iconic characters, which was why he also wanted the Jesus clown to be the Superman, because it was a child's iconic character that could fly, walk on water, et cetera, and John Michael loved the aspect of the mythology that had Jesus performing miracles. So we were supposed to be pre-adolescent children who knew nothing. And as a result, the clown makeup, as Stephen said, it's exactly right. It was, I get flop sweat thinking about this when I had to run to the fence and get the makeup off the fence and run back up and give it to Stephen. And we had to put it on exactly where the line was, not a letter, not a stroke or whatever of the law. And it all had to be timed to go on at that moment, because we were putting on this facade that would then be taken off at the Last Supper. It was profoundly moving for us every night to go through that and take the makeup off each other and look into each other's faces. Joanne, really, we would take the makeup off each other's faces, and then touch each other's faces without the makeup. And I'm getting teary thinking about it. It was the most incredibly intimate moment, sitting around there, taking off each other's makeup and touching each other's faces.
Yeah.
And all of us here got to do that. And it was with each other. And it was
Great instrument.
Yeah, I've been asked by students over the years who have gone on to do productions in Godspell, how do you find your clown? How did you find your clown? Or what is essential to making the clown? And I tell them, well, first of all, you have to have great socks. These are my original socks that Reed Pell got for me, based on Susan Sue's designs, I guess. You need to have colorfully painted shoes, sneakers. You have to have a hat. Without a hat, you can't be a clown. And finally, most importantly, and you will all testify, even George will, the most important part of a clown's costume are knee pads.
Yes.
Yes, baby.
Oh my
Without
God.
knee pads, we would be
That's
cripples
right.
today.
Oh my God.
And these are my original knee pads. And that's why I saved them.
The sight of knee pads is so triggering. Very
Or you
triggering.
get Godspell knees.
Godspell knees, yeah. It's a
And for the next COVID production, I have this.
There we go.
Double Jesus.
That's great.
Hey, George Salazar, you just texted me. I love it. Your castmate from Broadway, Telly Leung, has a production happening right now. Please give details.
Yeah, it's his first time directing a musical, and of course, it's a production of Godspell at the University of Michigan, and so there's a link. It's a streaming thing. It's free. It's like it's free to stream. So for everyone at home who loves the show and wants to re-experience it with a fresh group of people, this is the future of Broadway. This is like musical theater students. They worked together through the pandemic. Telly kept us updated on everything. There's the URL. But yeah, I can't wait to see it. It started streaming yesterday, and then it runs through the 27th of this month. So just head over to that link and check it out.
It is the gift that keeps giving. Stephen Schwartz, what was your experience making the film?
The truth is, Seth, that I wasn't able to be around that much for the film because it was being shot while Pippin was out of town in Washington. And so I had to sort of go back and forth a bit. And I would the main thing that I remember was that I insisted on being there on the day that we went on top of the World Trade Center.
Of course. I'm wondering...
Yeah,
because that's when you did All for the Best, right?
Yes, but one of the maybe the ending of All for the Best was up on the top of the World Trade Center, which was not yet completed.
Right,
and we were up there, and the towers are going in the wind. It was quite scary up there.
I'm wondering if when you flew back and forth from Washington to New York, you used your color as your propeller.
We did the one change that we were all cognizant of from the beginning, which is embodied in the film, is that we had to give it a framework so that you would know who these people were, where you were, give them some justification for suddenly singing. Some wonderful thing just seems to have happened. In other words, that what we've tried to overcome, and really only when we see the whole film together will we know if we've been successful or not, we've tried to overcome that thing that always happens in musical movies, where the actor first starts to sing and you say, why is that person standing in real trees with real sky singing a song to a camera? I mean, that terrible moment of artificiality that has defeated, I think, most musicals from making a successful translation to the screen. I think we found a framework, a slightly fantastical outlook that will overcome that. And as I say, we'll only know if we've really been successful when we see it all put together.
So young. Oh my God.
You're so cute.
The only thing that's changed is like the small.
The collar.
Otherwise, I look identical.
I remember that shirt.
Wow. I was like what the well-dressed leprechaun is wearing.
Wait, Stephen, how old were you?
I was 23. Yeah,
I mean,
23, 24, somewhere around there.
23-year-old genius like that. I mean, everything you're speaking there is so insightful and brilliant. I mean, it's true. Like the movie musicals that we love are the ones where the musical moments are these fantastical kind of magic realism, heightened moments. And I mean, come on. Get out of here.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
well, I guess seasoned film director, 23. I love how you're thinking. Okay, I'm having the best time. So, Steven Schwartz, before we go, apparently you're also favoring us with a song, according to the sound check I heard from David.
I am, and I thought that I would do a song which has the advantage of being quite brief, for one thing, at this point in the evening, but also it's a song that is not one of the ones that people usually sing. This is the only song that was written in rehearsal, once we went into rehearsal. And everyone had his or her own sung moment, except for Gilmer McCormick. And that this seemed unfair and also not appropriate for the show. So I wrote this song for her. Gilmer was not really a singer. She was extremely funny, however. But anyway, I wrote this song for her. And I'm going to sort of play it in the original version. Since that time, in productions such as the one George did in 2011, they now get like the best singer in the cast and like blow it out of the water with this particular song and all sorts of wild arrangements. But this is sort of the actual original arrangement that I did for Gilmer. Okay, it's called "Learn Your Lessons Well." I can see a swath of sinners sitting yonder, and they're acting like a pack of fools. Gazing into space, they let their minds all wander, instead of studying the good Lord's rules. You better pay attention, build your comprehension. There's gonna be a quiz at your ascension, not to mention any threat of hell. But if you're smart, you'll learn your lessons well. Every bright description of the promised land meant you could reach it if you keep alert. Learning every line and every last commandment may not help you, but it couldn't hurt. First you gotta read them, then you gotta heed them. You never know when you're gonna need them. Just as old Elijah said to Jezebel, you better start to learn your lessons well.
And we should note that the Lamar character did a different version of this in the intermission.
Right.
Then it became the intermission song.
Right.
And people who could play the piano. Again, in Georgia's production, like Telly played the piano, right? And like Lindsay and somebody else. They did like huge, elaborate arrangement of it that was extremely cool.
And I recall, Bob, you held a note that lasted the entire intermission.
That's true.
Not to mention any threat of hell. But if you're smart, you'll learn your lessons well.
I think my concept was hold that note until they applaud.
It worked. It worked.
It's a great placement, man. You guys, this was so wonderful to meet all of you. Such history, man. I mean, like people like me that grew up in the 70s, like you, like, you know, got me obsessed with Broadway. You know, just I would listen to this show and got me obsessed with piano playing. I would get the score out of the library and play because it's written for, it's so fun to play. It's just amazing chords. Anyway, thank you guys for creating history.
Look how great, by the way, can we just say how great everybody looks?
Oh my God.
Joanne and Peggy.
Everybody looks fabulous.
Wow. Just saying.
I had a funny story I wanted to tell.
Yes, Joanne.
A friend of mine is actually watching right now. He's a friend of yours too, Stephen. His name is Fred Armstrong. And he goes way back to our summer stock company where I met Stephen. And I'd done the show of Godspell. I went and I did the movie. I went back and I was doing the show. I love you, Stephen, of course, as you know deeply how it's changed my life. I was sitting on Fifth Avenue with my friend Fred. And, you know, we didn't have social media back then. So how did you know you were in a hit except every night at the show? But there we were sitting on Fifth Avenue and a bus pulls up. and it's got the Godspell poster on it from the movie, and it says a hit, a big, big hit. That's how I knew we'd done it.
Wow.
New York on Billboard, Anyway, it's totally changed my life. It looks so good to see all of you guys. Oh my God, nice to meet you, George. And you're all beautiful. Gosh. So
and as
beautiful.
Molly Shannon says, I'm 50 and I can kick and I can stretch and I'm 50.
Exactly.
That's right.
I'm almost 70.
You guys still look amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of people watch the show after it airs, so don't forget, if you're watching it still tonight, we have the Smashing Donation.
Yeah.
So it's our good friend Becca Rothschild, and it all goes to the Actors Fund. And someone was asking, because I said we raised around like $930,000, like how much goes to the Actors Fund? Like that all goes to the Actors Fund. There's no overhead because StreamYard sponsors us. So they pay for the tech crew and they pay for the social media. So everything that's donated goes right to the Actors Fund. So fork it over if you have it. Guys, this was great. So
Thank you.
We did a Pippin reunion, Godspell. We have to do a magic show, a Wicked reunion. So I'll be talking to you soon, Stephen.
Okay. As these shows age, as they hit 50.
I still want rags. I'm obsessed with rags. Okay, we'll talk about it.
Okay, another time.
That's gourmet.
Thank you,
All right.
Seth.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. This was such a treat. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. I'm gonna show the final credits. End credits. All right. I'll play
Love you guys.
Love you guys. That was so awesome. Still in the house? Oh, yeah. Yeah, sing it. His mercy's fair in love. Oh, yet not all his benefits. The Lord to thee is kind.
Oh, Joanne.
Oh, yeah.
Benning. All right. I tried. Bye, everyone.